First, you have an addiction. So it's an addiction like you have an addiction to coffee or or drugs or anything, games, Nintendo games. How do you call this? Video games. It's an addiction, and you may have that addiction for a long time. Then you need to develop another habit that slowly makes you lose the interest for it. Something that becomes more interesting for you. But to speak about pornography means masturbation, and to understand what makes a man want to masturbate should be addressed first. Because you can't get off the addiction truly unless you resolve the addiction to masturbation and ejaculation. And that requires a form of understanding of sexual energy, your manhood, tensions, where the restrictions are in your body, why they're there, what has brought them there. And an interest in unlocking those energy pathways so that you don't feel that pressure and that like feeling that I want to come, meaning I want to get that energy out so I can feel relaxed. So this is maybe an introduction to the conversation. And there's another element that people, I guess, don't know about or tend not to speak of is when your sexual energy is begins to grow, because your average guy jacks off or ejaculates as often as possible, right? So and for them that's a form of relaxation. But why do we say that ejaculation brings relaxation? Okay, so I'll explain it to you. When your sexual energy, that means you haven't ejaculated, starts to accumulate, there's an intensity that starts to present itself. Something wants to move. There's a power that starts to want to move and circulate. But it's unable to circulate because there's restrictions and tensions and all kinds of mental fucks that block the passage of that energy. So it creates pressure. And that pressure creates a very particular sensation. Let's say that you're a little tenacious and you're like, fuck it, I'm not coming. So the next thing that's going to happen is that pressure is going to start to create heat. Right? Because the energy wants to circulate, but it's now pushing against restrictions. So now you're going to start to feel frustration or anger. And all the things that are repressed in your system, all your frustrations, your emotions, everything that's repressed in your average individual is now being challenged by that sexual energy. When we speak about attention, we speak about something that's repressed for the most part. I'm simplifying, it's for the most part true. There's nuances, of course. But tensions, restrictions in the energy flow means there's mental blockages expressed in the physical body. So when the sexual energy, which is the energy, starts to cultivate itself or grow a little bit, now it's trying to circulate, and now it starts to push on those restrictions. And those tensions that are literally in your body, they're also associated to specific mindsets and psychological attitudes, if you like. And now these things are being awakened. So you start to feel distressed. You may not be psychically savvy, meaning you're not used to operating in your mind. You're not used to understanding your emotions, so you don't feel that, or you're not aware of it. But you're going to feel rising pressure or frustration or anger, or just like, you're just like irritated, which is what most guys will say. They need to come so that they can, because they feel tense and irritated. It starts to consume their thought. What's consuming their thought? Sex. It's not sex. They think it's sex. It's to come so that they stop feeling themselves. So your average guy now starts to be confronted with his deeper self. Even if he's not aware of it sexually, psychologically, he's starting to feel the pressure, and then something's disturbing him. He starts to feel anxious. I'm like, something's just like, I don't know what it is. And unless they have something to focus on and put the energy in to kind of like dissipate the pressure, it's rising, and the itch starts to be like quite uncomfortable. And depending on what parts of the body are tense, the pressure can also create like a tick, like it's kind of tickling, and it's like an itch, and it's like almost harassing, and it's disturbing, depending on what's compressed in your body and where the energy is stuck in, right? Anyways, and you just want the energy, you want to come so that you get rid of that discomfort, the anxiety, the pressure, the anger, and the awakening of your psyche so that you can go back to a place of quote-unquote relaxation or comfort where you're just like, there's no more pressure. So that's a nice introduction to the idea of masturbation, which of course is conditioned into people. Then from that need to release the pressure, the tool of pornography is given to you, or let's just go at it this way, and then you associate those two together. But if you didn't have the pressure, you wouldn't care for the pornography. If your energy was circulating, you wouldn't be interested in the pornography. Also, when we're talking about tension, we're talking about a constriction of your being, a constriction of your mind, a constriction of your energy, a constriction of your understanding, a constriction of your sensitivity and sensorial experiences. So you don't mind, you get aroused by looking at a girl on a screen, on your telephone. I've come from another generation. We didn't jack off on cell phones, but I guess you fuckers are doing this nowadays. We used to use a computer screen. So you're watching a girl who's like on your iPhone 15. Right? It changes sizes according to your moods, right? So what kind of idiot gets aroused by looking at a fucking telephone screen and then jacking off on it? That means somebody whose mind is shriveled. So that's also part of the tensions. It's shriveling your whole being. It's shrinking you. It's making you very small. That's what tension is. And that's creating pressure and it's compressing your sexual energy. And on top of that, you're like, okay, I'm okay with the screen. Or if you're a little more savvy, you're gonna go pay a girl on Insta, I don't know what, OnlyFans, and have a little dialogue with her. But it's like, there's nothing real about it. How do you get aroused by something unreal? Unless you're trying to disconnect from reality. So anyways, all this to say, first there's the need to ejaculate, which means to reduce the pressure. Then there's the association to the pornography. But they kind of come together. The more you're small, the more you settle for small things, such as masturbating, looking at an image of a girl. At least if you're less small, you're like, I want the girl. That would be at least one step a little more honest, if we can say it like this. So how do you get rid of the addiction? Well, first you got to realize you got an issue. If you like zoom out for a second, you look like a fucking idiot of the highest caliber. Like if you think about it. But nobody's taught you that this is precious energy. You're an idiot. Nobody's taught you the value of that energy, and nobody's explained to you that that energy and that the liquid of it is necessary for your overall harmonious health. When you spit it out like a fucking idiot, you're like, it takes your body about 30 days to get to create that nectar. And you need that nectar to balance every aspect of your body-mind. It holds it down. It's crystallized attention. And here you just spit it out like an idiot. You don't even understand what I'm saying. You can't even feel what I'm saying, besides the fact that you feel a little depleted. Pay attention to what happens when you ejaculate unnecessarily for the millionth time or the second time in a row. Or first of all, your bones are going to start being achy. Your joints are going to start being a little stiff. Your mind is dull. You're like, a little like, what's going on? You need immediately something to stimulate you because you can't stand yourself. Your mind is all over the place. You're susceptible. You're weak. And you feel fear. So imagine you do this on a constant basis. No wonder you're a loser. Like, this is not even hard to understand. And even if you're quote unquote succeeding, you're not succeeding because whatever you're doing is meaningless. You may think you're succeeding, but it's nothing compared if you zoom out and look at the super big picture of life, when you stop pretending that life and the cosmos and reality doesn't exist and you stop focusing on nonsense within the system, your success, even if you have some, and I can respect it, is minimal compared to what you're actually able to do and could do had you actually cultivated your sexual power. You could be a god in the true sense of the word. Whatever that means is not what you think, but you could be. Not a superhero figure like James Bond. I'm talking about a real deity. So compare your life to what I'm saying, even if it doesn't make any sense. So men don't know the value of that liquid. They don't know the value. They don't understand their health, nor do they feel their own bodies because they're numb. If you were not numb, you would not do that. So anyway, if you want to kick the habit of masturbation, first you have to realize that there's a limit to your potential. You're like stuck somewhere. And men more and more are starting to understand that. Well, I'm not sure they do. It's a fad. NoFap, don't masturbate. It's like a thing like taking cold showers now to activate your potential. Whatever. If it works for you, at least temporarily, is good. But what's important is that you feel, that you reclaim the sensitive body. Because your body is numb because of your tensions, which block the sensitive aspect of the nervous system and its full expression. So when you reclaim that, you start to feel yourself, you start to feel your mind, and you start to feel a direct correlation between your actions and the consequences. So then you're like, wait a minute, I don't like how I feel after I do that. So there's no judgment. You're like, I don't like, yeah, it's like you eat that, but you're like, shit, when I feel like that after. The pleasure is great, but it's like, I feel like shit for an hour or 2 days. I'm like, fuck it. Then you find a better food that doesn't give you the problem after and feels and satisfies you better. So to reclaim that sensitivity, but what I was trying to say, because I'm like layering things at the same time, to let go of the habit is because you have to have an interest to discover more about yourself, a greater potential of yourself. And if that takes you on a journey to unlock your potential, but we're talking about concretely through your body and mind, then as the energy starts to circulate and your sense of self and your nature begins to expand, this becomes like rubbish. And also you feel the consequences of what you're doing, so you're kind of like, think about it twice, then 3 times, then 5 times, then 10 times. It's very organic, it's unforced. Then it doesn't even cross your mind, because what kind of fucking idiot takes the sap of life and throws it into a Kleenex? Nobody does that. No sane person does that. But you don't know that, or maybe you kind of know that. But if you read it in a book, you still don't know it. Anyways.